All right, hey guys. So today I'm gonna be doing the unboxing of the Supercharger. So yeah, I was planning on getting a lot done this week, but Colorado, it's bipolar. So apparently, I mean, it's been in the 80s, 90s, and apparently tomorrow there's some snow supposed to be coming in. So I know I mentioned on Facebook and a couple groups that I was going to try to get a dyno done next week. But before I want to get the dyno done, I want to get all the maintenance items done to eliminate all the variables. But that might not happen next week because the plan was this weekend to do all the maintenance. But if it snows, I'm definitely not going to be doing maintenance outside in the cold. I hate the cold. Like, I have really low body fat, so me and cold don't get along when it comes to doing maintenance. So I probably won't do it if it snows this weekend. So I'm going to hold off on the maintenance until probably sometime next week. And then hopefully by the end of the week, I'll be able to get the dyno done if all the maintenance gets done. There were a couple things I was gonna do that I probably won't do now. I was gonna order the transmission filter, but I think what right now is like not a big deal with the car being under 40,000 miles. So what I'm gonna end up doing is just doing a drain and fill. I'm not gonna flush it. Like I said, I'm doing a drain and fill, and I'm not gonna open the pan because I don't want to have to deal with getting the RVT like sealant for it. So I'm just gonna leave the original filter in there because I mean it's supposed to be a lifetime transmission fluid. So I think it'll be okay if I leave it in there for another 50,000 miles before I change that out. So that being said, we're gonna go do the unboxing right now. My kit is a little bit different than the 3rd gen kit. My coolant overflow tank is shaped differently to fit my engine bay. So we're gonna go ahead and look at all the items in the box. I already looked at the instructions manual, how to install it, and also looked at the guide that Daniel and Ryan put together, and that thing kind of helped me out because I like that they have the tools listed, whereas in the VT Racing instructions, they don't have the size of tools I need. So that just helps me to plan out what I need. So if I need to go buy something before ahead of time, that way it'll save me time because I already know what tools I need to have out. So let's go ahead and get this unboxing done, guys. The first thing we're going to be opening up is, I believe, my cooling system, my intercooler, wherever the correct term for it is, because it actually has coolant that's going to run through it. But this will be my intercooler, my water-to-air intercooler system. So because it is a water-to-air, because there is coolant that is going to be flowing through this. Now, an air-to-air intercooler system is like what you find on like most turbocharged systems. You just get a intercooler connected to the front of the vehicle, and it's just piping. There's no coolant lines going to it. It's just an air-to-air. This is a water-to-air, which means we're going to use coolant, which is going to help the engine cool down a lot more efficiently and faster. All right. So with that being said, I need to go research what is the best coolant for the system. I need something that's like non-corrosive and also that keeps it at the coldest temperature possible, because this fluid will only be running through my water-to-air intercooler. So I want to get the coolest coolant possible with the least amount of corrosion. Because if I can keep that cold, that means my air charge is going to be more dense, which means more power. All right, guys, so let's open this up. Take a look at it. All right, it's nice and light. Lighter than my air-to-air intercooler. It is smaller, but also we're not even going to be putting out 10 PSI boost. On my Audi, that was a different story. You know, we're putting out, 20 PSI of boost. It's not what we're doing with this one. So here you guys go. Here's that. Coolant fins are pretty tight. When you're, buying an intercooler, what you want to look at is the fin counts. When they're more dense like this, that's more material, which means you're going to get more cooling. When you have the fins that are really spaced out and less material, that's less surface area that's going to be hit by, the cool air charge to cool it down. So you want dense fins so that you get more cooling, because the air is going to be passing through on these fins to cool down the charge. All right, so that's it for that. I don't think there's anything else in this box. Let me check. Nope, just some Don't know what this is, but we're gonna undo this. No clue what's in here. All right, guys, let's see what this is. Oh, this is where they stick our nice VT supercharging decals. Okay, this is nice. I might stick this somewhere, you know. If I had like a store or something, I would definitely stick. Wow, this is nice. Go ahead and take a look at this. Open it up all the way. It's hard to do this one hand, guys, sorry. So I got this. A couple of these that I can stick somewhere, you know, along with this big old decal. We asked them in the group buy to make it, and they delivered. That's another one. And then on this last one, I'm not sure what we got here. Let's find out. Maybe it's a clear one. No clue. Or maybe they wrapped it in this to keep it from getting wet. We'll look at that later. All right, so that was all that was in that box. Cool. Now we're gonna move over to the big boy. All right, guys. So this is the supercharger. It's pretty heavy. It's over 60 pounds. That is a fact. So I'm going to lost my scissors here. You know, but that's okay. We will find the scissors without ripping up all my nice stickers they just gave me. Let's move this. Oh, there are my scissors. All right, here we go, guys. The VT Racing Supercharger for the 2.5 4th gen. Gonna go ahead and cut this open, guys. Bear with me, I'm doing this with one hand. I just ordered my tripod, so I'll be getting a tripod here soon. That way I can give you guys better content, more stable videos to look at so you're not getting motion sick. I should have did that last week, but I'm gonna do it tonight after I get done doing this unboxing because I want to give you higher quality videos for the channel. So let me go ahead and finish opening this up. As you can see, I don't get very many presents, so not good with unboxing. All right, I'm very impatient. Here we go. There's it. Oh, the tape is pretty strong. Go ahead and cut this with my other hand. All right, now I should be able to just pop it open. All right, and here's our kit. Doesn't look like a whole lot of stuff. So this should be an easy install, right? So let's start in one corner. All right, first corner, we're gonna come over here. Look at what we got. This is our motor pump for our intercooling system, our water air intercooler. This is the motor. This is gonna go in the left front of the bumper if I'm facing the car. All right, so that is our pump. All right, and we gotta wire that to our fuse box. All right, so let's go over, look at what else we got. We got our pulley, our lever that we're gonna stick. This is gonna go directly on top of our AC compressor, and this is what is gonna allow the belt to be in the right position to put tension on the supercharger pulley. All right, so that's gonna go on the AC compressor, right? And then we're gonna move over to our top right in the box, and I have my belt for the supercharger, the serpentine belt, and I have a nice Overflow coolant reservoir. This one is a little bit different from the ones you're going to see on the 3rd gen kit. The 3rd gen kit has a triangle shaped one, and because of the space in the 4th gen is a little bit tighter space, we get this nice little reservoir. I like that it's clear, or it looks, actually it's not, I can't see through it, but this is where our coolant's going to go. But it's white. I would have preferred to have the black one so it blends in, but no big deal. I like it. It's a little different. All right. Then they gave me a spare belt because, you know, we asked for it. So we got a spare belt in there just in case something happens if I nick it or something on the install. Another VT Racing decal. Who knows? Might put it on the car, might not. It'll go somewhere. Maybe it'll go on maybe put this on my intake box. It's possible. But I like the sleeper look. All right, come in here. We got all our clamps, and these are going to go to all our intercooler hoses, you know, for the installation on both sides of the intercooler, blah, blah, blah. We got our wiring harness that is going to go to our motor for the pump, I guess the coolant pump right here. So that's going to go here from this thing, and it's going to be connected to our fuse box. All right. I don't want to open it up, but this thing is going to go in place of one of our fuses, and I already read the instructions, so I know exactly where it goes in the fuse box. All right, and then you come over here. We got the hoses that go to the intercooler, and it's going to also mount. Obviously, it's going to go to the intercooler, to the reservoir, and this is also going to go to the actual supercharger to flow through it to cool it down. I don't expect the supercharger to produce much heat because of the way our supercharger sits. It sits in the front of the motor, unlike other superchargers that are like mostly present nowadays. Like, for example, the Audi, you know, S4, they have a supercharger on a 3.0T, and the supercharger sits right on top of the motor, and is in between the cylinder head. So you got your cylinders here, and your supercharger sitting on top. The problem with that is heat rises. So when you got the cylinders having their detonation, you know, going off, and well, it's not a detonation, they're igniting, and the heat's rising. You got the supercharger right on top of it. So those superchargers are very inefficient. The reason why they're very inefficient because they heat soak really quick, because you have the supercharger sitting on top of where the combustion chamber is. So that thing needs most of those guys, even stock, they're overheating after 2 or 3 pulls, and then they lose power. So most guys have to upgrade to a better heat exchanger. Ours, we got our exhaust in the back, our cylinders, and then our intake manifold, which is in the front of the car, away from the exhaust and away from the cylinders. And also being in the front of the car, you know, there's cooling factors that are coming in under the hood latch. So this thing is being cooled from the front. It's the most efficient location for our twin screw, like root style supercharger. The other car that had this type of system was the Cobalt SS, you know, 05 to 07, before they switched to the turbocharger. All right, so here is just like some nice pictures. I haven't opened it up yet. I don't know what's in there. It's not really important. But then here's our supercharger picture installation guide. I like that they included a lot of pictures. It could have been a little bit more detailed, but for what it is, I understood everything in there, and there's enough pictures. You got enough to be able to install this, no problem, step by step. All right. So we got all that. I got one hand right now, so I can't really open it up for you. So there's that. Got that in there. We got more. These are our mounting things for our water air intercooler. These are the mounting brackets and stuff like that. So that'll go into the front. I gotta look where some of these other ones go. But I know one of these brackets is for, I know this is the bolt that goes onto the supercharger to mount it to our location for the stock intake manifold. So I know that's going to go there, I believe, from looking at the instructions. So if not, we'll figure it out. We got time. So, and then also, let's see what else is in here. Oh, I believe this is my invoice, my certificate. So let's open that up, guys. One hand. I don't want to show you guys my address, but I believe this is just my receipt, my invoice. And luckily, I know most of you can't read this, which is nice for me. So cover this up, you know, my certification, My serial number and everything's on there. So there you go, guys. This is the VT Supercharger. I don't think there's anything else in the box that looks like everything that I remember. And obviously you guys want to see the beautiful Supercharger. So let's go ahead and unwrap that and show you guys what it looks like. I know you guys have seen it plenty of times before. And as you all know, I got this kit for right under $35,000 shipped. Some people have gotten better prices on it because the exchange rates keeps changing right now. So mine came out with my shipping right under 35. I know one guy, because of the exchange rates changed. When I bought it, my exchange rate was $1 to 6.33 Chinese yen. Now is $1 to 6.7 Chinese yen. So that'll save you $200. So guys are paying $3,300 if they buy right now at the right time. All right, so, oh man, this thing is really heavy and I don't want to mess it up. So I'm going to go ahead and set this phone down and I'm going to pull it out so you can kind of see the Supercharger. Here it is, guys. The VT Racing Supercharger. All right, so let's just go over a little bit about this Supercharger right here. So this top portion right here is just, this is really why we have to buy from VT, because this is like a custom intake manifold mount to mount the Supercharger onto our intake side. All right, so these are right here what is going to go up to our intake valves on the intake valve side. So we take off our stock manifold and use the seals from the stock manifold and place it around here. So this is the part that is the real reason why you would buy it from VT versus going by a generic twin screw Supercharger, because you won't have this to adapt it to the Mazda. All right, so this part, I believe, is what is the most expensive fabrication part, because you can just buy a twin screw, and there's plenty of these. If you know the model of this, you can just go get this and attach a different model. So right now with this twin screw down here, I can go look up this twin screw, find another one that has the same, mounting, and put a bigger Supercharger later on to it, but this portion right here is what we need to be able to do that. All right, so let's kind of just go over the components of it. So obviously, like I just told you, this is the adapter to mount to where the intake manifold's at, right? That goes onto your head, onto the intake side, right? All right, and here we have our pulley. So this is what you change in order to get more power. So if you want more power, what you want to do is to reduce this, make it smaller, so that as the revolutions of the engine, and the belt and the crank are going, you get more revolutions per crank turn out of this thing. All right. So there is an aftermarket. Apparently they do have another one. And I believe it's a 61 millimeter and this is a 63. So it's only a 2 millimeter difference, but that 2 millimeters on like 91 octane will make about 15 horsepower difference. Obviously more on E85, you might be able to get like, I would say 20 to 25 horsepower on E85 out of the smaller pulley, more than this one on E85. But the thing is, E85, you'll run into oil dilution issues, and then this is a reliable daily. It's inconvenient. The reason why I went with the Supercharger, because it is more convenient than the turbocharger and having to run E85 to get the power I need out of it. So we're not going to go E85. There is a possibility that I might upgrade to the smaller pulley so I can get more power. But there's a lot of things to take in consideration going to that smaller pulley. Now, what going to that smaller pulley was going to end up happening, I'm going to go into boost a lot sooner, because once this starts to reach above atmospheric pressure and is no longer in vacuum, it closes the actuator and I start to build boost. And that means if I'm building boost, I have to dump more fuel into it, which means my fuel economy is going to go down. So that's the thing I have to take in consideration. It takes a certain amount of RPM before the actuator closes. If I go smaller pulley, the actuator is going to close sooner, which means I'm going to burn more fuel sooner when I'm probably not trying to, you know, build boost. So that's the pulley right here. These are our lines that we're going to connect to our coolant hoses. So it's going to run coolant through our supercharger to keep it cool, even though it's going to run pretty cool compared to a turbocharger. But it's a water to air, so the coolant's going to go in through here. And you know, another thing, you really can't see it because it's dark. But there is another inside of here. You will see another. That's the intercooler stuff right there. So that also is going to cool the charge. So not only are you getting external cooling from the water air intercooler at the front of the motor, but also it's going to get an extra little bit of cooling when it runs through these fins over here that is water cooled. So you'll get the air cooling from the big intercooler in the front, and also you'll get additional water cooling up in here that's going to keep the supercharger. So you see those little fins in there? It's the same thing like on the big intercooler we got down there. All right. So now let's move on to another part of the supercharger. All right. So this is the actuator I was talking about. So as when you're in vacuum, this actuator arm is going to pull like this, right? So when you're in vacuum, there's a little, you can't see it, it's a bypass valve. But as this thing is in vacuum, it'll suck this up and it's opening this bypass valve. So this is gonna, as soon as you start your car, this actuator is gonna go up and it's gonna open up this bypass valve that's running from the intake manifold into the roots supercharger. So as soon as you start the car, bam, opened up and is in vacuum, and now this is open and the air is just circulating. It's not being forced into the intake. It's not being forced into your intake system like your intake valves. So once you start spinning up in RPM, and once you reach a certain RPM, it's going to be sucking enough to where this actuator arm is going to start to close. Now, once that actuator arm completely closes, you're separating the recirculatory system, and now the boost has nowhere to go but straight into the motor. All right. So now that's what this is for. This actuator is controlled by vacuum. Once the vacuum's gone, it will start building, it'll close the valve, and then it will just, all the pressure will go inside of the motor. All right. So now we turn it to the front. Hold on, give me a second, guys. Sorry, guys, another fake call. But anyway, so this is where your throttle body is going to connect to this supercharger. All right, it's going to mount up here. This is metal. So I won't be needing my throttle body ground anymore because this is a metal intake manifold / supercharger. All right, so now if you look inside of here, I don't want to remove this because I don't want anything getting in here, any debris or anything like that before I start it up. But you can kind of see it through here. There is, if I can get the lighting right, you can probably see, let me try to move this onto here so you can kind of see. If I get rid of the glare, I don't know if I'll be able to do it. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and take it off. And hopefully this sticks right back on. So I want to show you guys inside of the roots system so you can kind of see it. Not that you haven't seen it before, you can look it up online, but it's kind of dark now. Let me see if I can face the sun and get some light in here. But that's where our twin screw is at. So I'm gonna close this back up. Don't want to get anything in there. All right, but I think that's everything. You know, like there's nothing crazy about it. It has all our connection for our lines, different lines to go in here. So yeah, guys, this is the supercharger. Here's my serial number on here. And yeah, like I said, this is normally, I'm gonna show you how it's normally mounted on the car. Normally, when you see these root style twin screw superchargers, they're mounted like this. And the ones that are mounted like this, guess what? They're sitting on top of the motor where there's a lot of heat being given off. So this is how normally you'll see them mounted. And if it's mounted like this, there's a lot more heat going on. And the way ours is mounted in the front, and this is underneath. So yeah, we're avoiding a lot of heat soak by having our supercharger mounted towards the front, away from the heat, and not on top. So hey guys, this is how it normally looks. I am gonna look eventually, after I upgrade my my pulley, I might look into taking this off and maybe putting a bigger supercharger on here, because as long as I have my manifold mount, I might be able to do it. So that's it for the supercharger unboxing. There was a lot of there actually isn't a lot of parts. I was expecting a lot more, but this seems self-explanatory. There's not a lot of parts. I got my peace of mind knowing that this won't be a hard custom install. I think the most challenging thing for me is going to be just like the time it's going to take me to get the front bumper off, all those screws. So what I'm going to do when I install this, I'm going to lay down like one portion of the garage, and I'm going to, how I've been taught myself to do everything, I lay it out in order of operations. So the things that I took off first are going to go against the wall, and every time I get to a different section of the car, I'm going to put that in a different row. So, and I'm going to section it off. So like all the stuff from the front bumper is going to go on one row. The next row is going to be, stuff from the intake manifold, and I'm going to keep layering. So when I go to put the car back together, the first thing that's going on is whatever's closest to me, because then I'll work my way backwards. So I'll put back on whatever was the last screw I took off, and then vice versa. Just keep going that way. And I think that's going to be the easiest way to do this. And yeah, I don't think there's going to be any problems. It just sucks like right now I'm waiting for the weather. Like I said, I do want to do my maintenance items first, and I want to record all those and show you guys how simple it is and save yourself some money, because this supercharger, I mean, wasn't crazy expensive, but I also just took 2 trips that cost just as much as the supercharger. So that being said, I am trying to find ways to cut costs, and also, who knows, maybe a lot of people in Colorado want the supercharger, and because I've done it once, I can do it over again and charge people, So there's that, guys. There's the supercharger unboxing. I also want to show you one other thing I got. I overpaid for it. I paid like $30 for it, and I searched a little bit more, and I found them for $20, but I was just worried because I wanted the genuine part. So I want to go to show you my only external modification I'm going to do to this car. I'm not even doing rims. I've been doing a lot of research on, aerodynamics and everything like that, and, lowering the weight of the wheels and how much it'll actually change. For me, it's really not worth it right now, because, heavier wheels, it doesn't make that big of a difference for me, because I'm trying to keep the sleeper look. So let's go. I'm going to show you one other thing before I leave today, and just know the next video we're going to do, I actually found someone here in Colorado who's also interested in doing a supercharger. So I found someone else with a Mazda, and what I want to do is, before I even go, I am going to do the dyno and stuff, but in the meantime, because I'm not sure how the weather's going to be, because I want to do my maintenance before the dyno, I am going to do some runs with another person with a Mazda3. It's a 2017, and they have a manual, so it's the lightest 2.5 version, right, that you can get. And so what I want to do, I want to go do some runs with this person, and they are tuned by by Ralph. They got it tuned by Ralph. So what I want to do is, I'm going to take my computer with me. I want to do a straight up race. I got an OV tune. She has OV tune, and we're both OV tuned on, by the same person. So I want to see what the difference is between having front wheel drive and the all wheel drive system. So we'll do a dig race, roll race, and like I said, she's going to have less drivetrain loss, but she's also manual, which I don't know how well she shifts yet, but that's one of the things that we can eliminate with the variables. So I don't really know how much faster her car would be if she can't shift correctly. Maybe she will. And then also with that, we're going to do like dig, roll, and then what I'm going to do is, I'm going to do the same races with her, but I want to turn my car back to the stock tune, right? And see the difference between my stock tune and my OV tune when I race her. I'm expecting to lose every single race except the dig race. But we will see what happens with that. So that's like the next thing I'm going to do, is try to meet up with this person. And then honestly, if the weather doesn't change Friday and Saturday, if it doesn't look like it's going to snow, I'm going to try to record all the maintenance I'm doing. I'm going to do rear differential, transfer case, and a drain and refill on my transmission. I'm going to do all three of those items. I'm not going to replace the transmission filter, just because, like, you know, really don't want to deal with trying to seal it up and just in case it leaks. Like, I'm going to do it the next time, but it's really simple to do. So, but we're going to skip that for now. I'm just going to do the basics, then get the oil change. And then after I get that oil change, we're going to go to the dyno. All right. And, oh, obviously one more thing I need to do besides oil change, but I'm going to do it right before the oil change. I'm going to clean the valves. But I have to wait until it's closer to my oil change, because when I do my valve cleaning, I know there's going to be a lot of gunk and stuff, and it's going to get broken loose, and it's going to probably make its way into the cylinder and into the oil. So I want to do my valve cleaning as close as I can to my oil change. So that's probably going to be sometime next week, because I'm almost due for an oil change, and I get free ones. So that's why, you know, I am going to wait till my oil change. So I have 2 more free oil changes left. All right, guys. So that's it for the Supercharger unboxing. But I do want to show you that one item I overpaid for, and I paid like $33, and I can get it for $20 on eBay. But I was just kind of in a rush and wanted to get it, like, because I thought I was going to install a Supercharger a couple weeks ago, but, you know, that didn't happen. So let me go ahead and take you over to the car and show you something. And it conveniently came out to the perfect size. A little special mod for the outside of my car. So back when I had my Audi A4, you know, I was, you know, learned about turbochargers. You know, I've been into cars since the first Gran Turismo came out. So ever since that, on PlayStation, I was hooked. And, you know, then the upgrade, you know, played Need for Speed, all that. So now that I had a real car, what ended up happening, you know, I started modding it. The first time I got into a race, I had just changed my intake. Well, I didn't change I changed my panel air filter, my spark plugs, and I was just cruising, and I ran into a G35. So originally, when I first got my Audi, I was going to the dealership to pick up a G35, because that was, you know, the car. It was slick. It was like it was 2010. I was gonna go pick up this G35 because that was just the car. It had the looks, kind of, you know, speedy tuner car, and that's what I was going for. But when I got there, the car had just got bought that morning. So what I ended up doing was looking around a lot, and I guess the next best thing I saw was the Audi. So I got the Audi, you know, and I was just like, wow, I found out it had, you know, a decent amount of power. It wasn't as much as the G35, apparently, but that's just what, you know, manufacturers list online. But I didn't realize what I actually had until, you know, went to AutoZone one night, changed my spark plugs, dropped in a drop-in can air filter. That's nothing else done to the car. I ran to a G35, and I'm like, let me see what I missed out on. How much faster is this G35 than this Audi? We run. I beat the guy. And I'm like, what? Was that a mistake? Did he not downshift? Do another run. Beat him again. And I was like, oh, wow, this car is quick. This is a sleeper. So from that point on, I was like, man, this thing got some potential, and nobody would ever be suspecting it, because it does not look like a, you know, a fast car, right? So, you know, started modifying my car. Then, you know, I got really into the scene where everybody's like trying to get the most power out of, you know, the displacement, which is only two liters. So I'm like, all right, which cars has the most powerful 2-liter turbos motors, right? Right at the time, the Cobalt just came out, right? They were supercharged, and then they had just released the turbocharged Cobalt, right? So that was the car that everybody feared, was this, you know, these Cobalts, because apparently they're making so much power, nobody wanted to race them. But, you know, they had to do road races because they're front-wheel drive. So, you know, I started thinking about the Cobalt and how that was the car, and it was a sleeper because nobody wants a Cobalt. So I went on ahead and I overpaid for this, you know, so I can get the GM original genuine part, which inspired me, because, you know, that was like the only supercharged 4-cylinder that I know that was just like, I wanted one because it was a sleeper, but, you know, the turbo definitely had more power. So, you know, I buy the part, and I'm like, hopefully this fits correctly, you know. So we're gonna go to the garage, and I'm gonna show you how perfectly this fits on my car. And I'm kind of excited about it because it looks almost OEM on my car, which, I mean, this is as good as it's gonna get, because I don't like any tacky things on my car. So we're out here, we're gonna go to the car, and let me just show you the fitment of this. And if you want one, I'm gonna put the link in the bottom. I bought mine overpriced, but I'm gonna give you a better link than I did. If you have the older Skyactiv, which is the 3rd gen, the font, I mean, like the I guess the silver on it is matte versus the gloss, but it actually will still look just as good in OEM because the other side of your emblem's chrome, just like this emblem I have in my hand. And also the Skyactiv emblem on a 3rd gen is slanted, just like this emblem I have in my hand. So let me go ahead and show you how this fits on my car. But I'm gonna take it off because I don't have the supercharger yet. I didn't press it on that hard, but I just wanna give you a quick look at how OEM this looks. This looks like this car is meant to be like this. Let me turn this camera around so you can see it. Guys, look at this. Look at the fitment on this. It lines up perfectly. Look at that. It has this little slant to it, which if you have the older 3rd generation Skyactiv, it's gonna fit on there perfect because yours slants in that same little slant area, it's gonna slant just like that. So it might line up even better than this, except y'all have like a matte silver look finish instead of the chrome like mine has. So, but it still will go with the car because your other emblems will be chrome just like that. But look at the fit on this, guys. That looks amazing. And that is probably the only exterior mod I'm gonna be doing. And you gotta be really up close to see what it says under there. But guys, with the turbo, they will be looking because they've never seen that under there before. All right, guys, that'll do it for this video. There's a lot of things I wanna still cover before the supercharger and everything else gets done. But I just wanna give a shout out to Daniel for being a pioneer. Without him, none of this would be possible because he took that leap. And hopefully I learned something, maybe by accident, but I'm able to give that back to Daniel and provide him some information since he's done so much for us. So that's it, guys. I want to start putting links to random items that I found for super cheap at the bottom because I know a lot of you guys are going to be doing supercharger build, and you 4th gen guys, be careful out there. They're trying to rape you for prices on, you know, items that are maintenance. So I'm going to put a link for stuff that I found for super cheap, because I went to Mazda to get a quart of their rear diff fluid that also goes in the transfer case. They wanted $68 per quart. I found them for under $25 on eBay. So I'm going to leave the link for that. Also to leave the link for the supercharger emblem if anybody wants it. So that's it, guys. The next video, like I said, will be maintenance items, or it might be my roll races and dig races with another OV-tune Mazda3, and we'll see how much the all-wheel drive slows this car down from a roll. All right, that's it, guys. Have a good day.